Hi guys, just want to get into a quick question before I get into the main video. Did you prefer Star Wars Battlefront from 2015 or did you prefer its sequel that came out a few years after? Now for me personally, I've always had this opinion, right? I'm always going to die on this hill. I felt that they brought out the sequel a little bit too soon. They should have given the first game a little bit room to breathe, because it was such a fantastic game.
Well, I actually like to put my 2 cents on it to say that the first Star Wars Battlefront is a better one. So shut your mouth.
Who do you think you're talking to? Don't talk to me like that. Honestly, twins. But the question is, will EA give us what we want, or will they cancel it? Yeah, so no pressure on the dev team or nothing like that, but I've been asking for a Star Wars Battlefront 3 game for quite a few years now. Although I've already said I still feel like the sequel to Star Wars 2015 Battlefront actually came out a little bit too soon, which is kind of true. It only got given just a couple of years to have its gameplay and have its moment, but then the sequel came out. That's neither here nor there at this point because it's out now, and the recent player base has been going mental with it, so people have been enjoying it, which is what I would really like to see from a Star Wars fan, of course. Not Disney Star Wars, but Star Wars in general, made by the amazing man George Lucas. Thank you very much, George. So if Star Wars Battlefront 3 were to come out, would you actually want a Star Wars Battlefront 3, fellow gaming minions, or would you prefer to have more regular updates from Star Wars Battlefront 2? If you would actually prefer more updates for Star Wars Battlefront 2, why would you not want a Star Wars Battlefront 3? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd be really interested to have a conversation with you. So if there was going to be a Star Wars Battlefront 3, which I, with my fingers are crossed, I'm not expecting a Star Wars Battlefront 3 at least for another 10 years or so, but it would be nice if they actually started to, get down to grips in it, go back to the drawing board and see what new things they could actually bring into Star Wars. Would it be like the original Star Wars where we could actually do, not space battles as such, but you can actually fly in TIE fighters and space aircraft and actually fly around the map without having to use what they use in Star Wars Battlefront 2015. You actually have to find it around the map in those little icons and whatnot. Would it be interesting to see what they could actually do with this game? Would it be bigger maps? Would it be more interesting things to have a heroes versus villains? Would they be a bit more creative? It would be interesting. There's all sorts of things that could be done with Star Wars. A lot of people, I don't know where a lot of people, gamers, have their minds at, where they're glass half empty kind of people to say, no, it's not going to happen. Maybe it might not happen. With the right push, I believe it actually could. So maybe one thing, or in fact, I might just name a few things that they probably could include in the new Battlefront 3 if they do decide to go down the path of creating a Star Wars Battlefront 3, which would actually probably make the fan base very, very happy. So one thing I like in video games where I play multiplayer online is bigger game modes. And so what I'm talking about is instead of 20 versus 20, maybe a 40 versus 40 maybe, or a 60 versus 60 if they're going to go down that route of actually giving us bigger maps and bigger objective-based games like that. That would actually be, I love bigger game battles. I really love it, especially in Battlefield 2042, where you can actually do 64 versus 64. I believe that's what it is. I remember playing it on Rush a lot. I love Rush. It's my favourite game mode in Battlefield 2042. I'm getting confused here. One thing that I would absolutely love to see, if they was going to go down this route of being creative, is probably 3 or 4 different factions fighting against each other. So faction number 1 with a selected group of numbers from the characters and whatnot. It could be 10 or 5 or whatever. You could actually have the Empire. And another faction you could have the Separatists. Another faction you could have the Rebellion. And another faction you could have the Resistance, all fighting together, well, not fighting together, but all fighting against each other on a big map, or even the smaller mission maps or more objective-based maps or modes and whatnot. That would be excellent. They could also create a more engaging heroes versus villains, or nothing wrong with going back to basics, they could just keep it simple. Or you could actually add in more team-based modes, like capture the flag, or they could bring back droid run and drop zone, cargo in fact from Battlefront 2015, or get more creative with it. There could be more cooperative game modes, both in space missions and on the ground. I absolutely love cooperative modes. It would be really good to have a rank up system of actually just playing with your friends in a massive chill environment. It could be in a team of 5 or a team of 4, whatever they're going to go with, if they were to bring it out, and just play against the bots, do some cooperative game modes together. That would actually be awesome. They could do the hot contracts like in Star Wars Battlefront 2015, when unlocking specific items and weapons. You could actually unlock probably a lot more. Maybe you could actually go and work towards unlocking new skins or unlocking weapon upgrades and anything like that. That would actually be awesome. They could do a cooperative story mode. Now that would be epic. I love games that involve a co-op story mode. especially one of my favourite Call of Duties, World at War, that actually featured a cooperative story mode. Now that's just epic. I loved it. They could involve more bot modes, where you just don't want to feel like playing against online people if you feel like it's getting a bit, a bit nervous or a little bit too toxic, just in case if they do include voice chat in this game, in case if it does come out, if they were to go down this road, you could just chill out in bot mode, get used to the gaming systems and play a specific certain style, or just do things that don't involve playing against other people, and you can play alongside them. Awesome bot modes will actually be a cool thing. They could actually have a cool rank up system that does not involve a pay to win system. Sound familiar? That sounds pretty familiar. There's many untold possibilities that a new Star Wars game could bring. Many untold possibilities. It just depends if they're going to get the right devs who pour their heart and soul into it. Not stop thinking about all the money that people could spend on the game. Rather think about, give people a reason why they should spend money on the game. Bring all that heart and passion, that creativity that games used to have so many years ago. Games that we grew up with back in the 80s and 90s and mid to 2000s era. I miss those days. I love those games. So quirky stuff. You can always get in very creative with Star Wars. The Star Wars is massive. You could add in so many different new characters. You could add in so much, a little bit of a lore. But just in case with the things that I mentioned aren't good enough for you gaming minions, what would you actually add into the game of Star Wars Battlefront 3 if they were to make a new Star Wars Battlefront game? I'm actually rather interested in knowing what you think would be some cool ideas, or just, even if it's something that's basic and something that actually works, bring it to Star Wars Battlefront 3. I'm not saying they're trying to go above and beyond, right? Not to the highest extent of the universe, but it just would be nice if Star Wars Battlefront 3 devs would actually just be a little bit more creative, because when you bring out a new game, they want to get creative with it. Because from Star Wars Battlefront 2015 to 2017, or basically Star Wars Battlefront 2, I noticed that heroes versus villains was a bit different, because in Star Wars Battlefront 2015, you only get one life if you're the hero, but you get to play a foot soldier if you go down as that hero, or you get a couple of foot soldiers helping you as well. But in Battlefront, the sequel, you get to have as many lives as you want, and it's up to, a kill rank of 35 total kills, I think. They actually added in like a 2 versus 2 as well on the sequel Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is, see, you can get so creative with it, add in all these different modes, see what works and see what the fan base would actually love to have. But it really depends if you guys would actually are interested in a Battlefront 3 game. I most definitely am. Now, I'm not saying I don't mind them updating Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the meantime. Yeah, give us some updates. That'd actually be awesome. I'd love to have some updates, more things to do in the game, keeping it fresh, as fresh as you can possibly, especially with the rising fan base that have actually been playing it recently, which is what I love to see. Fantastic. I've not played it on PC, I've only played it on console, because it's more accessible on console for me. But I've actually switched over to PC from my PS5, which I don't have anymore, thankfully. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I really am loving my PC, and I would love to play Star Wars Battlefront 3 on my PC and to see exactly, if this was to come out, what they would do with it. There's so much, I said this before, there's so much you can bring to Star Wars Battlefront 3. A lot of people are like glass half empty kind of people, saying this can't be done, that can't be done. Who says it can't be done? Many things in games have been done, and you've accepted that. So how can you not accept something as diverse as Star Wars that cannot be done? Stop talking out the well. It can be done, right? And it will be done if you've got the right dev team behind it. You know what I mean? If they got the right funds, they got the right passion, they got the right creative minds, and they really want to go for it, and they want to give us something truly special, it can be done. No excuses. Gaming's taken many big, massive leaps before of other video games, right? Too many to name here from memory, but yeah, it has been done. Risks can be taken, right? But especially not when they're going to cost you the company, of course. But you just want to make sure that you just keep a few basic things in that actually works for the fan base. Just try and amplify it. I'd actually love a Star Wars Battlefront 3. Do you want to see a Star Wars Battlefront 3? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Right? I would really love to hear from you, fellow gaming minions, about Star Wars Battlefront 3 if you're actually interested in playing it. Because I most definitely am. So, you take great care of yourselves, fellow gaming minions, and may you enjoy your video gaming time.